This is Transqat, a safe space to stand. Transgender issues, queer people, respectful conversations. I'm host Claire McCarthy. Welcome to Transqat. In today's episode, I'm talking with Marybel Delgado, the founder and executive director of Transcending Beyond, a nonprofit that works to support and educate parents, caregivers, and adult allies of transgender folks in Western Massachusetts. The Human Rights Campaign Foundation put out a study about a year ago. It was a survey of some 1,500 parents and caregivers of trans and non-binary youth. The good news? 92% of those parents were supportive of their kids. And what does support mean in this context? Well, on the simplest level, it means using the affirming name and pronouns. But it also requires action, advocating for the kids in schools, healthcare, and similar venues. 50% said that they had written or called their elected representatives to improve the situation for their child. It also means checking in regularly with the child to see how they perceive they're being treated in the school and the community. In the needs work category, 55% of parents reported that their child had been bullied in the past year. Only 26% had a support plan at school, even though more than 90% of those who did said the plan was either very or somewhat helpful. 1 in 4 parents had to teach their child's healthcare provider about trans or non-binary issues in order to get the appropriate healthcare. 1 in 20 had a doctor refuse to provide gender-affirming care. And 1 in 5 had to change providers because of mistreatment or lack of competence on the part of the healthcare provider. Clearly, even in nominally supportive states like Massachusetts, the need for a group like Transcending Beyond is clear, and I was grateful for the opportunity to talk with Marybel about her work.
I feel like it's just good manners to always start a conversation by saying, how are you doing today? But lately, anybody involved with trans folks, that question seems to have a lot more weight. So how are you feeling? How are you doing today?
I mean, I'm doing well, but what's happening within the trans community nowadays is very concerning, worrisome, especially, for the safety of trans individuals and allies as well, where we could be seen as enemy of the country for living your truth and being an ally to people who choose to live their truth.
In dealing with trans folks, with trans youth and their families, do you find that we are a bunch of terrorists for the most part?
Oh my gosh. I mean, when I heard the word terrorist, I was like, what? I'm like, trans people are about living their truth. They're about love. It's about unconditional love. How can you be a terrorist when you have love for everyone, especially unconditional love? It makes no sense to me at all. My name is Marybel Delgado, and I am a proud mother of a trans child. Well, he's an adult now.
How old?
26, and he has been my motivation and inspiration to do what I do. I have a nonprofit called Transcending Beyond Inc. And within my nonprofit, I also have a parent support group. Within my nonprofit, we provide education, resources, and emotional support to parents that have a child that identifies transgender, but also from the LGBTQIA community as well. Our parent group meets once a month, and I like to bring resources from the community to come and talk to parents. I think it's important that parents have, a bag of resources at home whenever, their child might be going through something. They have somewhere they can reach out to get help if need be.
Yeah.
I also collaborate with Dr. Eunice Aviles Farias. She's a psychologist who specializes in gender and has done a lot of work within the transgender community. So we collaborate as well. As a matter of fact, we have November is Trans Awareness. Um, I want to say a month. We need more than a week.
Yeah.
We need a month.
We'll just claim the whole month. That's fine.
Yeah, we're gonna claim November as Trans Awareness Month. And starting November 1st, there's gonna be a series of events happening where Dr. Aviles is going to be presenting an exhibition narrative exhibition where she interviewed trans and non-binary individuals in Western Mass, Latino,
Mm.
trans and non-binary individuals. Will they narrate their story and their experiences as a trans or non-binary person?
So
Um,
a story archive of the intersection of transness and Latina experience.
right.
Mm.
And I'm there at I participated as a parent. So if you do log in, it's Transcend Massachusetts. If you go on to Transcend Massachusetts website, it'll take you to the narrative of each trans and non-binary individual. But we will also be having an opening event November 1st from 2 to 4, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Hispanic American Library that's located at 555 Frank Murray Street, which is inside the Union Station. We're going to have the opening evening there where Dr. Bliss is going to talk a little more of why and why it was important to do this project. And people will have a chance to maybe meet some of the participants and it's also there's a photograph of each person that participated and there's going to be a QR code where people can scan the code and it will take them to that person's narrative where they share their story.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
that's exciting.
So is your work more with families and allies than with trans youth per se? You're
At this moment, yes.
okay.
I started a parent group like the reason why I also started a parent group is because when my child decided to transition, um I had questions. I wanted to talk to other parents and ask questions. And I researched here in Western Mass and I didn't find anything. So at least I'm in the Springfield area, nothing local here. So I was fortunate that I had gotten an email. I received this email and it was an education workshop on trans individuals. So I said, let me join and learn more. I wanted to learn to best support my child through my child's transition. So when I joined the workshop and the presenter shared his experience and how his mom had created a parent group, support group. So at the end of the workshop, I emailed the presenter, and the presenter shared his mother's contact information, and I was able to connect with her, and I joined their parent group, but they're in California. But at the time, the meetings were through Zoom, so I was able to attend the meetings. They would do a lot of activities, but I'm like, I don't have that kind of money to be traveling back and forth to California
Yeah.
to join all the events and activities that they would do as a group. So one day we were talking and she's like, well, Marybel, why don't you start something in your area? And I was like, huh. She's like, you've been with us for a year. I think, and I can help you if you need information or guidance. That's when I decided to, you know what, let me start. a group and see how it goes, and it's been going well. It's been very people have been receptive to the group, and it's interesting. I have people that do not have children that identify with the community but want to learn. So,
Allies are so important.
oh my gosh, yes, they are. So when I have my parent groups, I will have parents who have children identify as transgender or part of the community, and I also have people who just want to be allies. They don't have a child, but they want to be allies and they want to learn more how they can best support other people in the community. So it's been great.
Given the political climate, how do you go about reaching out to these parents and allies?
I do word of mouth. I have flyers that I pass out. Right now with the social media, it's a little scary
Yeah.
because I don't know who is watching and what's going on. So it's more hands-on. I go out. I post flyers in like local libraries, agencies. I give flyers to people that I know and tell them to pass to people or agencies where, like providers that they may go to. So that's mainly how I spread my word right now. I used to use social media, but now I'm like I feel like I have to be cautious of what I post on social media.
You and I met at Holyoke Pride, which is another great
Yes.
place to sort of mingle and make connections.
Yes, that's how we can connected. Yes.
Still working on that Voices of Pride episodes. We'll get those out there. This this by the way is Sun. She is the
Oh.
chief financial officer of
Ah.
Transqat Enterprises. She's concerned that I'm not spending the money wisely, aren't you?
Ah.
So what's the group size like currently?
It varies. There's been times where I've had like 17 parents, and then there's times where I'll have six.
What was it like for you when your child came to you with this information? You know, that because that's like you say, you're working really hard to create this tool bag for parents and allies and family members, but I'm guessing that you didn't have that when
No.
you were in the situation. So to whatever extent you're comfortable, tell me about what happened then.
My child decided to transition at the age of 21, so he was an adult already. So I can't relate to parents who have a child that started transition earlier, like in their teens. I learned the reason because sometimes he will attend the groups with me. He shared in the group, he he felt like if he shared that information as a teenager when he felt he needed and wanted to transition, um, that I would be disappointed and he didn't want to cause disappointment.
Hmm.
And that was kind of sad for me because I'm like, you're my child. I will love you regardless. So and at that time, he said, I would need your permission um to start my transition, and I felt that you weren't going to be supportive. So he waited until he was 21 because he's like, well, I don't need my parents' permission now. I'm an adult, so I'm gonna do it. Um, when he shared with us through a text message that he did a group message with me, his father, and his brother, younger brother, and he shared that he was going to start his transition and that he hopes that we are supportive, but if we are not, that he understands because it's probably not easy. But we all responded, we love you, we're here for you, we'll support you. Just let us know how we can support you. Basically, that's what we all text back. So I would say my son is fortunate that, his father and I and his siblings have all been supportive. throughout his transition. So, and I know that's not everybody's story, unfortunately, to have their parents' support when they decide to, transition, live their truth. But my son, he's been fortunate. We love him. That's our child. We love him.
Which is such a basic human response to your
Yeah.
child. Of course, I'm going to support you, but a scary percentage of trans youth know that they will not get that. And so,
Yeah.
like you say, you keep it inside until you get to a point where you think you're safe, or at least safer. Do you hear similar stories with the parents you're working with, or do you see some that maybe reacted negatively initially, but now are educating themselves?
I've heard stories of parents who at first were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this," reacted negatively, but now it's different. Now they're supportive. They come to the group. We've talked about it, and I don't want parents to feel, even if their initial response is not one of support, I don't want them to feel bad about how they felt because it's different. Especially if your child, if they decide to do it more as an adult because, this child has lived all these years as the sex assigned at birth. And now they decided that they were going to transition to the opposite sex. So it takes some time to adjust and so forth. But luckily, they come to the group, they share, but they're at a point in life where they want to learn how they can continue be more supportive towards their child. So I always tell them, this you're taking the first step by coming here to get information, education, get the emotional support so you can relearn on how to be a better parent to your child who has decided to transition.
This episode of Transqat is brought to you by Goodspeed Musicals. Goodspeed is a non-profit theater known around the world for producing high-quality new and classic musicals. Overlooking the banks of the Connecticut River in East Haddam, the Goodspeed is one of the most scenic destinations in the state. The Goodspeed has announced its 2026 season lineup. It opens with Jesus Christ Superstar in April, followed by Crazy for You, Gershwin and Tap Dancing, The Snow Goose, a world premiere, and Annie, which will celebrate its 50th anniversary of debuting on the Goodspeed stage. Learn more at goodspeed.org.
So meetings are a lot of sharing, or is there sort of informational presentations incorporated? What's a meeting like?
It's a combination of both. When we do have meetings, like I also have connected with Planned Parenthood. They've been very supportive in providing resources and education. They're getting educated, but I'm glad that they feel safe. I have created that safe space where they feel safe to share their stories, and we are all able to provide that emotional support at that moment when they're sharing.
That is essential. If you're going to
Yeah.
them to come into this place and open up and say, here are my feelings, and maybe they're not 100% supportive. Maybe I'm still scared about this or that, or people coming in, even if I know plenty of folks who are sort of in theory supportive and allies, but then say, well, yeah, but given the climate, wouldn't it be better to just keep that to yourself because it's not safe out there? So when you bring people into that space, what you're saying is essentially you have to create an environment where everybody feels safe to share, that they're not going to be judged. Is that something that you have experience doing in other aspects of your professional life, or was this a skill you had to develop for this group?
I mean, I didn't have a name when I started. I just knew I needed a space where we could feel comfortable enough to talk, even myself, to share my experiences and my story. Working with Dr. Avila, she's like, Marybel, you're what that is called is a safe space. You're creating a safe space. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what my intention is to create a safe space where people feel comfortable, even people that are allies, because sometimes some allies, the language sometimes may be offensive, and we're able to point it out, and they don't get upset when we
Oh,
point
good.
out to the ally, that language could be considered offensive, so you might want to word it differently next time. And
Yeah.
they appreciate because as an ally, they want to be supportive. And they're like, well, my intention is not to offend. So I'm glad that, you're educating on the language.
Well, and that's sometimes very hard to do because nobody likes to be corrected. You know,
Right.
you want to walk in and say, well, yeah, can't you just read my intentions instead of my words or my actions? And it takes a real degree of skill to correct someone and have them come away saying, oh, thank you.
Yeah. So I've been fortunate, that's been my experience. Another thing that I've been doing with my group, I do events and some are fundraisers.
Mhm.
And what I do is I do more like I've been doing a lot of bohemian nights. We have people from the community, either from transgender or LGBTQIA community, come in and share poetry that they've written themselves or sing. And it's a group of people that are part of the community and not part of the community. And I remember the first Bohemian night that I did, I had a few transgender individuals that participated. And I remember, which was interesting to me, and I'm like, I need to continue to do this, is that like there's people that know of transgender people, but they have never been around in a social setting and socialized with
Right.
a transgender person. So when I did this event, and I remember one person coming and thanking me for doing this because they were like, this is my first time being in a social setting and sharing socially with transgender individuals. And it was a wonderful experience for me. And I was like, oh wow, really? I said, well, I need to continue to do this because
Yeah. Well,
something positive.
yeah, and it's positive on both ends of that event because you've got allies and family who are listening and learning and able to interact, but you're also giving a venue for creative expression to people who probably don't get that in a lot of other spaces.
Yeah, so that's been well, and people keep asking to continue. They're like, this is something we need here in our community. I hope you continue to do so. So that is my goal. Like, I don't want to do it every month where people's like, oh, I'm already tired or anything like that. But at least every 2 to 3 months, I'm planning to do a Bohemian night. Maybe you can come and join us one day and share some poetry with us
I would love to. I don't. I know I
or
can't sing.
sing.
Yeah, no, no. I've actually throughout my life I've been expressly asked not to sing under any circumstances. Just being a nonprofit in this at this time is really difficult because of all the cutbacks in staff.
Yeah.
How was navigating that?
Well, I was fortunate that I met with this gentleman. That's his business. Business is to help people that want to start a nonprofit. So it wasn't as difficult for me because I reached out to this person and they were able to assist. But I know now for grant writing, you have to be very careful. It was for me because of, the type of nonprofit. I have to be very cautious the wording I use to be able to, get funds out there, grants,
Are
and not that
there
many
yeah,
nowadays.
I was going to say everybody's competing for the same small pool of
Yeah.
money. Here in Connecticut, we have called the Leonard Litz Foundation, which kind of specializes in grants for queer themed projects and organizations. Western Mass have anything like that where,
I haven't come across, I mean, they've shared other foundations, which are like the Davis Foundation and so forth, but I haven't come across one that particularly for the, I have to do a little more research, but especially now, you have to be very careful who you request money and how you word your requests.
yeah, it's a scary time that way. When you're dealing with these folks, I've got to imagine that there's a lot of intersectionality going on in terms of there's your safe space, but their trans and non-binary kids are in schools, and that's one whole area. There's access to health care, there's housing issues. What are you seeing? What are you hearing from these folks in terms of once they leave your safe space and deal with these other institutions and systems?
I know now in the schools it's hard to include in the curriculum anything that's related to the community, but I know students still they feel like they need a safe space in the schools where they can go and have discussions about, especially, if they're transitioning or non-binary. There still will be, I think nowadays from when I was growing up, people are more accepting of people in the community, but you still have those that might make some comments to people, especially people that are transitioning. And there's some that still will make a big deal about the bathrooms, a child that's transitioning might want to go to the bathroom with the sex that they identify with. And there still might be students that might have a difficult time accepting that child using the restroom. I know one of my goals was I wanted to go into schools and educate, but now I don't think it's something that's possible at the moment to go into schools and educate staff, teachers, or go to parent PTOs and talk to parents. But that's on hold for now for me
Right.
because I don't think I'm allowed in the school system to have
Yeah,
these type of conversations.
I think school systems in general have had
Yeah.
to, even if they feel that we as an individual school or as an individual district, we want to do what we can, even they have had to back away from bringing in third parties because of that very small vocal percent of people who
Yeah.
want to make an issue out of anything like that. You were saying that the kids in the school just want a safe place to be, and traditionally that has been the library. It's a place
Yes.
outside of the classroom, outside of the lunchroom, which is generally not a safe place to be. But the library has consistently been a place where queer kids can go and sit and talk quietly or find resources. And that's part of why libraries, school libraries, and public libraries are under attack. Is that okay? Well, if this is going to be a haven for these queer kids, let's take it away from them.
I wasn't aware that libraries were under attack, but that's a good point. I remember as a child, even if things weren't going well at home, this was a place where you were able to be yourself, be safe, and connect with books or with other people and have conversations. Thank you for bringing that point. I wasn't aware that the libraries were also um, being under attack. That's
There
too
is
bad.
there is a nationwide effort led by a group called Moms for Liberty, which
Hmm.
is funded by all the big extremist right wing foundations, that is fighting very hard to get any sort of reference to either LGBTQ voices or BIPOC voices out of school libraries, out of public libraries, with the idea that these books are somehow making cisgender heterosexual white kids feel uneasy. It's really insidious because if you're in the Springfield area,
Yes.
there's some baked in diversity to that.
Yes.
In Springfield, in Holyoke, there's a wide range of different kinds of people that you can meet just going to Stop and Shop. But
Right.
in a lot of the country, a queer kid doesn't have access to that in his or her daily
Mhm.
life. And so a library can be a place to go and interact with them, not directly, but in a way that makes you feel, okay, I'm not alone. I can learn. I can see, oh, there are mentors and role models who are like me. And trying to take that away is just insidious.
Yeah, it is. And it's getting harder and harder. A good point, like, well, here, like Springfield and Holyoke, is so much by diversity. So you can meet someone at the bus stop. You can meet someone at, like you said, Stop and Shop,
Yeah.
Walmart, at the library.
And
But
you always have that opportunity to start a conversation, right? You're waiting for the bus. You could, it's scary to do, but you could turn to that person next to you and say,
yeah,
you mind if I ask you a question about?
but a good point, people that are more like in suburban areas that their community is not as diverse. One way of learning is through the library, and taking that away is like, if you want to learn about different cultures, if you don't have that exposure, the library is a place where you can go, take out books and learn about different cultures as well, assimilate yourself with different cultures. But if that's taken away, you have nothing that you can assimilate yourself with, educate yourself, discover your true self, and find maybe some support.
And others too. I
And
mean,
others,
you can
yeah.
find yourself, but as they try to whitewash history,
Yeah.
like, well, what are the opportunities? You're just going to find that the walls between races get more solid because you don't even have that. I grew up across the river in West Springfield, which was at the
Okay.
time, I don't know what it's like now, but at the time was agonizingly white, just exclusively white. And I never came across I never came across anybody where I could ask questions or, just learn as a human.
Yeah. I think it's still, I think West Springfield has a bit of diversity, maybe from way back, but not as much as Springfield or Holyoke, I don't think.
How do you find your Transcat?
The player at transqat.com.
TRANSQAT.com.
On YouTube,
Spotify,
Apple Podcasts,
Amazon Music,
and iHeartRadio.
Basically, anywhere that you find your podcasts.
What if I need one more place to listen?
You can also find us at WESU 88.1 FM, Middletown, Connecticut. The show is broadcast Tuesdays at 1 a.m. and is available online.
WESUFM /schedule.
Click the link to our show and put it in your ears.
That's a threat.
Definitely not a threat.
Hey, I hope we do this all day instead of working.
So, in terms of your group, where would you like to be in 5 years? I mean, I know that running an organization like that, you're very focused on the day to day, but is there someplace you'd like to be in 5 years, say?
Good question. In 5 years, I would love to also be able to provide support to youth. I would love to do that within, my 5-year goal. I've inherited some books that are, a lot of them is educational on transgender.
Mm.
And I would love to have like a library, a space where I could have a library where people can come. And I have like stories. I've inherited some stories. I have educational books that are related to transgender individuals. So I have a library where people can come, sit down, either read a story, a fun story. I also have some children's stories as well. So like the family and come and just enjoy a good book. And maybe have some, discussions and have some authors come in and introduce their books that are part of the community. That I would love that within my 5-year goal.
And even if it wasn't economically feasible to have your own space for that, I love the Springfield Library, because it's right in there in the quadrangle with the
Yes,
museums, and maybe something working with them to curate a space.
that's a good
I don't know.
idea.
I just like being inside the Springfield Library.
And I know a lot of people like going there. I mean, I myself, well, I haven't had time lately, but I was always in the Springfield Library or Mason Square Library a lot. So yeah, that's a good idea.
Maybe what we need to do is just get rid of all the politicians and put librarians in charge. I think
Yeah,
I think
that's a good
librarians in
idea.
charge.
The world, I think, would be a better place.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, I
Even
agree.
even though when I was a kid, librarians seemed kind of scary, and were shushing. That seemed to be their main goal, is to shush you. Yeah, that sort of open-mindedness and that willingness to be challenged by thoughts and ideas that aren't your own.
Yeah,
That would do us a world of good.
yeah, I agree.
So come election time, folks, vote for
Vote
your
for librarians.
librarian. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that I haven't?
I just want to invite everybody November 1st
Oh, yeah.
to come to the Hispanic American Library, 55 Frank Murray Street inside Union Station. It's right next to Dunkin' Donuts, the library, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. You'll be able to see the exhibition and know the purpose behind the exhibition, get the opportunity to meet the person in charge of the exhibition, Dr. Aviles Farias. She's awesome. She's very passionate in supporting the trans community, an ally. She's an ally you want by your side. So come on down so you could learn a little more about the trans community here in Western Massachusetts.
And if folks wanted to attend one of the meetings, just one of your regular parent ally meetings, how do
It's
they go about
usually the first Thursday of each month. November is gonna be different because we're gonna have a series of meetings. So in November, I'm not gonna be running my parent group per se because I'm gonna be participating in these group sessions. So if you come November 1st, you will also learn when the other meetings will be.
Mhm.
We're gonna have people from Trans Health come and talk about what trans people can do when it comes to their health, what services they have available. And then we're gonna have Q&A questions with the people who participated in the exhibition. There's gonna be a session where they're gonna be talking about gender, education on that. So it's gonna be fun. And then November 21st, we're gonna be having a fashion show.
Ooh,
Would you like to be one of my models, Claire?
absolutely.
You would? Oh my gosh,
We'll
awesome.
talk after we stop
Yes,
rolling.
we'll talk
Yeah,
after. I
if you
wanted
have
to
something
do.
that can make this look good,
Oh, you're
I'm
beautiful.
with you. I'm there.
You're beautiful. So we were I was thinking of something how we can end fun. And I came up with the idea, how about if we have a fashion show in Springfield where the models, I would like for the majority of the models to be transgender individuals, but because, I haven't had a lot, I'm including people from the LGBTQIA community and some allies
Yeah,
to be models as well. So I figure it's a fun way. It's a social event where we can bring everybody in the community to celebrate. So that's going to be at the Union Station where people wait for the train and the bus so everyone can see us modeling.
that sounds like so much fun.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk after this.
Yes, we'll talk.
And is there a website? We were
Mhm.
saying that social media you kind of stay away from. Is there a Transcending Beyond website or?
There is. It's info.transcendingbeyond@gmail.com.
Marybel, thank you so much for this.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
As we mentioned in our conversation, Marybel and I met at Holyoke Pride this past summer. Holyoke, if you're not familiar, is about midway between the Amherst, Northampton, Five College area and Springfield. On a map, it looks a little like the town that's giving the finger to Hampshire County. It's the setting for Tracy Kidder's book Among School Children, and it's the birthplace of volleyball. Transqat attended some 8 or 10 events during Pride season, trundling along with our recording gear and offering attendees a chance to speak on mic. As in past years, we're assembling some Voices of Pride episodes with excerpts from those conversations. Look for that in your feed in the new year. I'd like to preview those episodes right now with some of the other voices that I heard at Holyoke Pride.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Campbell. I'm here at Pride with the River Valley DSA and our Trans Liberation Group because I feel that trans people are more at risk than ever. So I want to help organize to bring back trans joy, queer joy, feeling safe in our communities.
So you spun the wheel, you landed on queer joy.
I think that queer joy is liberation for everybody. Queer people don't fit into gender and sexuality stereotypes, don't fit into gender and sexuality roles, and so we have to figure out who we are authentically, who we are and how we want to live in the world. And when we achieve that, I think that's what queer joy is. And I think it's something that's accessible to everybody, but so many people, if you are straight, if you are cis, if you fit in, you don't go looking for that joy, you don't go looking for that freedom because maybe you don't have to, or you don't have to till you're older. And so I think that queer people, destabilize the gender binary, destabilize the scripts for everybody, and that can help free everybody, but mostly free ourselves. We're trying to free ourselves, but we'll free everybody along the way.
As we go. That's not unique to queer people. In terms of religion, race, ethnicity, there are so many demographics is the wrong word, but groups of people in the country who feel that same way. Maybe not over gender or sexuality, but that same process of, okay, I'm going to find out who I am and then find my place in the world and hopefully bring others along with me. It seems to me to be such a universal.
I think especially here in America, I think it was Tocqueville who said, you have to cross the River Leith to come into America, you have to forget who you are. And one of the benefits, I think, of being a racial minority, which I am, is that you don't get assimilated fully into American culture, and so you have to not completely take in that water. You have to maintain a connection to your roots, maintain a connection to your ancestors. But I think at some point, every American tries to figure out who they are, where they came from, where their family line came from. I think it's a very uniquely American thing. I'm not sure if other countries and other communities have the same, we need to figure out who we are and how we situate in the world, but I think it is very American, regardless of your demographic information, to have to do that.
That sounds really daunting.
Yeah, we have a very difficult national project, and I think what we're feeling right now is the backlash to that, of people saying, I don't want to build a multiracial, multi-ethnic, gender equalized country, community like it was easier before. But of course, it's only easier for some people.
Right. Yeah, just put the women back in the kitchen, put the queers back in the closet, and everything will go back to being fine. And that's just no longer a reasonable stance.
Yeah. And who knows if it was ever fine, even for the people that supposedly benefited from it. I think we've only ever lived in a society where the very rich benefit, the landed gentry, then landed men in America. And it's easy to say, I'm going to climb the ladder to be part of that privileged class rather than I'm going to break the system altogether. But
and build something a little more just.
Yeah. But you're taking your chances. Maybe you're the 1 out of 24 kids that win the Hunger Games, but probably you're the other 23 who dies.
Yeah.
So better to destroy the Hunger Games,
Oh, I'm Nico. About 3 days ago, I got 4 copies of my name change decree. I went through the Massachusetts Transgender Political, and they are the Boston organization that helps with everything from the Bagley Group for Youth Homelessness all the way up, getting money and grants for name change applications, and they take you through how to get through the probate court and all of that, and the next steps of license, Social Security, and how to go from there. So I knew all of that, and I knew that maybe it wasn't the best time to do this, except that my particular kind of dysphoria as a trans person had to do with my name being called out. I work in a public place in a hospital, and my name appears legally as it is in the computer. So when people meet me and my badge says Nico, they do what people do in their head, which is, Christopher for Chris and Samantha for Sam and all of that. And I've seen it go over their faces. So it has gotten worse over the years. It didn't get better. I thought it would not be that big of a deal. And as my keying into comfort, my identity just sort of kept going at a really steady pace. This was one thing I could do that wasn't that big a deal. And I'm coming from an indigenous perspective. I don't really need to change my body or the way I live or what I'm called, turns out, matters a lot, especially having a public job where people call out my name a lot.
Everybody interacts with your name on a day-to-day basis.
On paper, digitally, in person. It matters what we're called. So I thought maybe this isn't the best time to do this. Maybe I can just hide behind some previous documents and hope nothing terrible happens. But I already changed my gender marker on my license a few years ago. And I didn't want to retract or revert or whatever you call that. Like I've had a lot of feelings about this since January, and I'm somebody who, I'm not new to the game of resistance, okay? So I know that it's not nothing to go changing your name right now to a more European, genderqueerish Nikolai from what it was, which was decidedly gendered. As I've become Nikolai and Nico more and more, I just don't see anything more important right now than to be called out for who and what I am.
How did you land on that particular name?
Well, my family, I know I probably look a little bit Irish from over there, which I am, and a little bit Cherokee, and then very Italian, very, very, very Italian, and we're loud people who love each other, so we call each other all kinds of variations. And I think it's just a cultural thing where I've been called Nick and Nikolai and Nicoletta and Nicolio and all kinds of things that just pass for the word for victory. So, my wife eventually started calling me Nikolai when I was very upset. I think when my father died, she first called me Nikolai, and it soothed something in me, and it was like, that would be the long, dorky version of it. And then I'll be a Nico, because that works for me. That really, really does. Just getting more into right relation with how I'm going forward, so that when I do encounter someone in our family, our lovely queer family, at work in a vulnerable hospital situation, I'm Nico, I'm here for all of you, babe. Like, I'm so glad when we show up and we're at our vulnerable selves, and I'm just like, you got me today, we're going to work this out.
Creating a safe space.
Yeah, it's a long journey now to legitimize this piece of stamped paper. I said, I have 4 copies, and I can go to the R&B, and all of the sort of red tape part of it is annoying, but there's something that's a little scary that makes me sweat a little when I hold these pieces of paper, and there's another thing that's like, it's really important right now. You know, my biggest thing is not that it's some sort of act of resistance. It really is a comfort to me, and my loved ones know me now. This really is important. It's that I'm a little bit afraid to tell my mother, because we have a good relationship, and she named me a very lovely name. And to take it and sort of like swing a little left and go sideways with it, which she has always understood. At the age of 8, I was watching the Care Bear movie, which I do believe came out in 1988, and this wonderful, cute little guy on it, hanging out with the Care Bears, was named Nicholas. And I remember running into the kitchen and saying, Mom, did you know you could probably call me Nicholas? It's really close.
Wow.
And she looked at me with these sympathetic eyes in this way that was not oppressive at all, and said, oh, honey, that's a boy's name. Like, she felt powerless. She absolutely understood, and as she gave me all of my brother's hand-me-downs for clothing because we were poor, I was socialized as a boy till the age of 10, so she really understood that. One of those parents who was like, I don't mind you being gay, I don't want you to get hurt, kind of like vibe, and that's fine. They never denied me anything, but they never encouraged. So that neutral stance is like staying neutral on a moving train kind of thing. Like, it's a gray area of not quite complicit. So it's that my thing is that I love my mom, and she understands and loves my queerness and loved my wedding and had a great part in it, to my wife. But I waited to change my surname and take my wife's name till my father died, and I just don't know how I'm going to tell her. What do you?
So she isn't aware that you've changed the name,
No.
or you just haven't had the conversation yet?
Both.
Doesn't know.
She's not aware, and we haven't had the conversation.
From what you're describing, though, she's come at everything up to this point in a spirit of love, right? And maybe I mean, you were talking about something that happened in '88. We didn't have the vocabulary in '88 to be talking
also,
about
as
this.
Indigenous people, we don't really talk about it because we don't speak Cherokee. There's like 5 different types of Two-Spirit. Mine I can't even pronounce. And she comes from the generation where you didn't talk about being Indigenous. She just happens to wear moccasins all the time and make a bunch of corn husk dolls and fry her bread old style. So I think that she would kind of understand. It's just, I've never had the qualifications of the full trans community because of the Indigenous thing, but I don't look Indigenous, so they don't. It's been a delicate thing.
It's not my place to give advice. But
Well, what if I solicited? What if I say, listen, I sat down here to see what's what, and you asked me what was going on, and what's going on is I can't lean into something I really want to. So what do you think?
I think that the weight that you were carrying of uncertainty about what might happen and could happen is much heavier than just doing it and then dealing it. The worst possible case scenario that you can imagine is going to be lighter to carry than this. You know what I mean?
She might be slightly hurt, little bruised ego, but she doesn't have an investment in a particularly French. We're not French at all. In a French name, her name is Deborah. We're not Jewish. She named her son Joshua. Again, we're not Jewish.
Not so Jewish, yeah.
We just chose names, and I
Joshua,
did the same
not
thing.
a big name among the Cherokee.
No.
It's not. Yeah.
So it's sort of it's all been.
I
this
think
is just like the last little bit. The last little bit of me really stepping into it is always taking it home because I live in the valley. It's going home to the part of Pennsylvania that just doesn't seem to get there. That they're the problem.
Yeah.
And my mother's a good person. She doesn't understand how she's being influenced, and she's kept her integrity.
But that's the thing. You don't have to tell all those people. You don't have to have that conversation with people who don't give a shit about you. You're talking to somebody who loves you.
Right. If my mom grabs my coat at Christmas and my ID and my credit card fall out and they have a different name than what she named me on them, I think that would be... that wouldn't be a horrible thing. We're not a bunch of, waspy people who care about names and who's the second, third, junior of the... That is a kind of a waspy thing. But
it could, that I could see that coming across as disrespectful.
Yeah, she
you
doesn't
did
want
this
me
and
to
you
think
didn't,
I'm afraid of her.
You didn't want me to. You didn't think to tell me. You didn't think you could. As intimidating as it is, I hear exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
I get it.
After all that, I just wouldn't want her to think of this as disrespectful. So now you got me thinking, what am I actually afraid of? And there's nothing really at the end of that dark tunnel, which is there's nothing in it.
No. And if the trade-off is a sense of honesty, and I mean you're showing respect, you're showing love by bringing this up, in spite of the fact that it's a little intimidating. That's going to convey itself to her, and she's
courage is very loving.
She's going to respect it for the love that it is.
I have a kid. Maybe she'll change her name at some point, and if she did, and she was getting closer to feeling comfortable with who she was, I would really support that. I've never really thought about what it would be like I thought a lot about what I was going to name my daughter the whole damn time I was pregnant, and I was pretty much a single parent, so it was all up to me. If she changed it, I would hope that it was because she felt like it wasn't really her, and getting closer to whatever the truth was for her would... And if I'm anything like my mother... This might be kind of a good... who the hell knows? This might be a big fear wrapped up in liberation. I just have to pull it apart and let it go.
Nico, it's been 5 months, going on 6 months since we talked at Pride. As I was editing this, I started tearing up, remembering how much I enjoyed speaking with you that day. If you're listening, please reach out. CRM Transqat, that's TRANSQAT @gmail.com. Let me know how everything went.
I started to think this is like a collaborative effort between me and my friends almost. My girlfriend loves cutting the sleeves off of jackets and turning them into vests. And usually she turns the sleeves into gloves. My friend Max put them together in a way I was like, dude, we need to make this into a goblin hat. So I've spent the last couple months slowly adding things to it and transforming it into my Goblin Commander hat.
So I can see the goblin hat. Tell me about there are bells on it.
Yeah.
On the front.
I don't know, I like these particular kinds of bells, and I believe in like sound cleansing a lot too.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this hat brings me so much joy, and hearing the bells as I walk around is just like delightful, and it brings smiles to so many different people. Well, my name's Rowan Erickson.
Hey, Rowan.
I'm a trans woman living in Western Mass. I'm homeless. I'm a big proponent of harm reduction and art as community, and being art as a form of community. I feel like art takes a lot of forms, you know. It's in everything we do as a human being.
If you don't mind my asking, how long have you been unhoused?
I've been unhoused since last October, but I've been homeless before, like in my childhood, in like family shelters and stuff, so it's not like I'm completely out of my element. This is just like my first time really like stepping out on my own and like doing it myself. And honestly, like becoming homeless is like one of the best things that's ever happened to me in terms of like personal growth and like finding myself, because like, I don't know, there's a lot less distractions when you literally only have yourself to deal with every day.
With the political situation being what it is and all the cutbacks, how is that affecting homeless folks here in Western Mass?
I mean, I find myself considerably lucky to be in Northampton, because there's a very strong community of, you know, just homeless people there in general, but also people who want to support the homeless community out there, and the addiction community. There's a lot of really good outreach, but like the issues that we've been running into is just like, for some reason, like weird like holidays, and like taking time off on days that like they definitely should be open, and maybe being open on days they shouldn't. And like, it just like, it's pretty typical like red tape, mismanagement. All the peoples at the desks and the computers don't have no idea what's happening to the people with the boots on the ground, and everybody's trying to tell everybody how to do their job.
So communication
has always been a huge issue with the unhoused, and managing houselessness and addiction as like, I guess, a pandemic.
Right, which it is. And that's an unfortunate thing, in that every community is dealing or not dealing with it in their own way, but that broader picture of this is like migration. This is a larger pattern that can't be solved.
I feel like something like we all like really have to like keep track of is like, be in your community, stick to your community, like don't like exclusivize yourself. Obviously, like part of like growth and building community is meeting new ideas, and like that mutual respect, mutual understanding, so that we can all support each other as it's like currently actively burning to the ground around us.
I had noticed the flames, Rowan.
I was like,
is that me?
Is that smoke?
How challenging is it in terms of your gender journey, where it intersects with homelessness?
I'm like completely pre-medical still. I've been very lucky to be like born with a very androgynous form. So I can just kind of lean into my more like feminine self and express myself confidently that way. I mean, like, unfortunately, like, accessibility and, like, the barrier of entry to, like, it's a fucked up way of putting it, but, like, there is. The barrier of entry is, like, so high to just get access to care. It's scary. I've been working with the programs and stuff that are out there. I will say Touch the Sky is great. Shout out to Touch the Sky.
Okay.
You guys are awesome. Like, they put in all the extra work that the other more formalized organizations in the area simply can't or won't do.
Now, is Touch the Sky something local in the Northampton area?
Yeah. I believe it's made up of a bunch of Smith College students. Just like, we're going to help the community, and it's very, very cool.
Wow.
I deeply approve, because like there's a lot of really good queer people in there, just out in community, trying to make sure we're all alive tomorrow.
Yeah. Rowan, thank you so much for stopping by. It was lovely to talk to you. Good luck with things.
You too. It's scary out here.
Stay
strong.
This is Sadie McCarthy. I'm Claire's niece.
And you've just been listening to Transqat. It is made by one of my favorite people in the world, Claire McCarthy.
Transqat is a production of Transqat Enterprises, LLC.
Copyright 2023, all rights reserved.
Join us on the web at transqat.com.
That's TRANSQAT.com.
QAT.com.
QAT.com.
There you'll find links to Transqat, the blog,
writing projects,
speaking engagements,
and our PayPal donations page.
Please consider
consider supporting our mission with your monkeys.
Monies.
Your monies.
Your monies. Not monkeys.
Please consider supporting our mission with your monies. Any monkeys will be gratefully received as well.
Follow Transqat on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
On TikTok, we are at The Real Transcat.
Want to tell your story on air?
Or ask Claire a question.
What is the deal?
She has all the answers.
Or suggest a guest or topic for an upcoming episode.
Use the contact page at the website
or email her directly at crmtranscat@gmail.com.
crmtranscat@gmail.com.
And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Bye.